All right, everybody. Welcome back. Episode 32 of the Fairweather Fans Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Fairweather, my co-host, Tyler Pluska. It is Wednesday, July 27th, 3 o'clock p.m. here in Boston, Massachusetts, up in the 29th floor of the Hub 50 House, doing the most studios. It is phenomenal to be back. It's another week.
It's wonderful.
How are you?
I'm fucking fantastic. I'm
fantastic.
excited to be here today.
Yep. Big Poppy ceremony at the Red Sox game today. Honor the newly Hall of Fame inductee, Big Poppy, an absolute legend. But before we get into that, we're gonna talk some NHL.
Yeah, we got hockey stuff.
Because after we close the books on Thursday, episode 31, if you haven't listened, please go do so. It's a fantastic episode. Had some great segments. You should definitely check it out. Got a lot of downloads.
Mm-hmm.
So people obviously listen, but hey, if you have listened, you gotta. Because obviously it was a popular one. It was good. But it's episode 32. I don't even know what I was getting at there.
We were transitioning actually into the NHL. It was the Thursday
Okay,
night.
so it was Thursday, and right after we had that episode, big news dropped. News we all been waiting for. Nazem Kadri. Oh, no. John Klingberg. Oh,
Nope.
Matthew Tkachuk traded to the Florida Panthers for Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar, Cole Schwindt, and a first-round pick in 2025. Initial thoughts.
Just your casual late night, I am hammered, you're hammered, just late night blockbuster. Hey, no point in
I think
warm-ups
it was
tonight.
11 o'clock?
It was 11:30, and I'm just scrolling through Twitter, and I see Tkachuk in Florida.
8:30 Calgary time, though. I think we need
that's
time
true.
zones.
Yeah, that's
times
true.
are West Pacific. So you got to give that leeway. But this was a trade that no one was ready for. And obviously came out of nowhere because based off just the initial reports and, knowing Matthew Tkachuk, where he was born, where he grew up, it was St. Louis.
It was
St. Louis,
pretty much.
and then we were waiting for the deal to get done, whether it was Kyrou Krugin a first, Tarasenko Krugin a first, Kyrou Tarasenko Krugin a first, whatever it was, it seemed like that was the likely, choice. And then out of nowhere came the Vegas Golden Knights of the East, the Florida Panthers, sending Jonathan Huberdeau, 115 points last season, Mackenzie Weegar, one of the top, most underrated defensemen in the NHL, Cole Schwindt, who's a good prospect, and a first-round pick for Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah, and immediately gets an 8 by 9.5.
Yeah,
just absolutely crazy stuff. Like you're getting a guy in Jonathan Huberdeau, who was better than Matthew Tkachuk last year.
Right.
He was an MVP candidate.
yeah.
You get Mackenzie Weegar, who's an analytical darling. You get a prospect and a first-round pick out of it. That is a haul and a half.
And I don't know why. Maybe it's, hey, I'm not a GM of an NHL team. I'd like to be one day. But right now, I'm a college kid who likes to drink on the weekend, have a good time, watch some hockey, and think I know a thing or two.
Yep.
I think this was an absolute fleece.
This is a fleece.
And it doesn't seem like there's a huge outcry or popular opinion in which way this trade went, but I think it's overwhelmingly Calgary got an absolute pot for this.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing. I have no idea how the trade wasn't 1-for-1. Huberdeau, in my opinion, is a better player than Matthew Tkachuk.
No, he is.
He's better. He has played with worse teammates last season than Matthew Tkachuk did, and had 115 points. Just if you're looking at it at a statistical viewpoint, Jonathan Huberdeau blows him out of the water.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He's great in the D zone too. He's great in all three zones. He's great. He showed up in the playoffs when he's needed to. Matthew Tkachuk's never had a big playoff game in his life, and he's been in the league 4 years. He's made the playoffs almost every single one.
He had one hat trick in a meaningless game
in a shootout.
Yeah,
in a shootout in a series that they lost. So I don't know. I don't really get it. I think if this trade was 1-for-1, I think it would benefit both teams just because Matthew Tkachuk is younger. He has more room to grow, more potential to become possibly a 115-point player. But Jonathan Huberdeau, unless there's something I don't know, it doesn't seem like his game's slowing down. He's still relatively young, and he's still playing. He's in the prime of his career right now. I think this brings, after losing Johnny Gaudreau, I think this brings Calgary right back to where they need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get a huge upgrade on the back end. That's
Without question.
So underrated in this trade is Mackenzie Weegar, just analytical darling, can do pretty much anything you need on the ice. And I guess the big question now is, obviously they both got a year left on their contract, so are they walking? Does Huberdeau get flipped maybe? I don't know. This is pretty interesting stuff. But what a fucking trade this was for Calgary.
Absolutely, and what a trade it was for hockey fans in general. Because these are just it's a ton of stars going to two different teams, both huge contenders in the league. It's just a big shakeup. It's those kind of things where the season starts in October and you're like, holy shit, I forgot this happened. Like same thing with like a lot of the movement we got in free agency. Like there's a lot of different teams, and we had different rosters than we had last season, and it's very, very exciting, especially with the cap space that Calgary has left. They could still expand too. But back to what you were saying, I think if I'm is it Brad Trevelling?
Yeah.
Brad Trevelling. I don't know if I'm butchering that pronunciation. If I'm him, I am waiting till the offseason, trying to get some kind of verbal commitment that they will re-sign. I don't think right now you have the flexibility just in terms of the talent that your roster needs to extend them right now and use that cap space.
Yeah.
So I think you go all out on Nazem Kadri, and then boom, I mean, you basically trade Johnny Gaudreau, Matthew Tkachuk, and Eric Goodbranson for Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar, and Nazem Kadri, who are three very good players.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think you get right back in it. I think you spend the $20 million that you have now and then worry about their extensions in the offseason when you have the open cap and you don't have to kind of deal with some of the bad contracts that you have. So I think in terms of that, you just have them play out and kind of both get the guys to commit that at the end of the season we're going to re-sign you, but right now we're going to go after the big fish and try and build a contender.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think that it's important that we review this, like when we look at this trade in a couple of years, how much it shakes up the NHL in a sense. Where does Huberdeau go? Do they both stay? Who do you surround them with for this season? This team's not really. They lost a lot of their key pieces from last year, so I'm gonna be following hard on this, this route. But another thing I wanted to add was I forgot what I was gonna add.
You don't have to add anything.
I'm off the rails already.
No, I know what you're saying.
I'm off the rails already.
I think
it was in and out. It was in and out.
That's fine. You were making good points, but I think the key thing for Calgary is that you had your four key players. You had Markstrom in goal, and then you had your first line. You had Markstrom, you had Lindholm, you had Gaudreau, and then you had Tkachuk. Then you go and you replace Gaudreau with Huberdeau, and then instead of keeping Gaudreau and kind of having that all-star talent, you go and kind of even out your team and you get Weegar, who's just an absolute stud defensively. And if he can become a first option on a team, I think he finally gets the respect he deserves. He gets more ice time. He's not kind of shadowed between guys like Ekblad and whatnot. He can really do it. So I know Huberdeau is going to be able to put up the points, but just, being able to see what Mackenzie Weegar is going to be able to do for Calgary,
and he can
with a good goaltender.
Yeah, and he can play both sides. He can play the offside. He can play. He was playing on the left side with Ekblad.
Absolutely.
So I think the flexibility also helps him in that sense.
Yeah, no doubt. So just to kind of break it down statistically, Tkachuk, he was a 6th overall pick in 2016, and he's been pretty consistent in his 6-year career so far. He finished with 42 goals, 62 assists, for 104 points in 82 games. Played every single game last season, and they made it pretty far in the playoffs. But you just got to hope, if you're a Florida fan, you had that stud lineup last year. You didn't make it very far. Maybe you need a little bit toughness, and that's kind of where you trade it. So if you have to trade 10 less points, guy who puts up 10 less points for more toughness and that kind of edge in the playoffs, then who knows, maybe it'd be worth it. But I think in terms of just pure names, Calgary wins, but just in terms of, what players complement the team style, we'll have to wait and see kind of how that breaks down. But just an absolute crazy trade. It was kind of good to be able to digest it over the weekend before we talked about it on the podcast. But
I remember what I was going to say.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
This trade is the closest thing we've seen to like an NBA style trade, and it's so good for the game. It's so good to see these big name players get not bounced around, but moved and give us something to talk about, and it gives hockey fans something to pay attention to. How's Huberdeau doing in Calgary?
For sure.
How's Tkachuk doing in Florida?
Right.
It's so good for the game. That's the point I was going to make before I fucking blacked out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, NHL GMs kind of have this tendency to, if their team's falling apart, kind of trade their assets for less than what they're worth. Alex DeBrincat, Chicago. But it's good to finally see this more of an even trade. I know I'm definitely in favor of what Calgary got, just because of how down in the dumps they were. They were going to lose Matthew Tkachuk, and it wasn't looking like teams were about to give them the haul that he most likely deserved. And then Calgary came out of nowhere and kind of basically gave an even trade. But I think just being able to balance out your defense and add back to your offense is I think if we're looking at how the trade helped out both teams, it definitely helps out Calgary more than that. But anything else you'd like to say about that?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, Matthew Tkachuk, he goes from the Battle of Alberta to the Battle of Florida. That's going to be incredibly entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they can meet again in the playoffs. The Atlantic just continues to get better.
And we haven't done a thing.
We haven't done a thing. But I'll tell you this. The Bruins are in Italy right now. The whole entire 2011 crew. Krug's there, McAvoy's there too, Pasternak's there. It's basically Bruins alumni vacation, so I don't think we should expect anything for the next week or so, but from what I've heard, those contracts are basically set in stone. It's just about freeing up the cap space and getting the deals done, putting the pen to paper. They're going to have to move someone.
Yep, it's probably Foligno.
In terms of the Bruins.
If we're going to be honest, it's probably they're looking to
if we're
Foligno.
lucky. If we're lucky. If we're not lucky, it's going to be someone like Mike Riley. You definitely need depth on the defensive end. With Charlie McAvoy out until January. So it's going to be an interesting beginning of the season, and I feel like once we get that Krejci and Bergeron news, it'll probably be quiet until preseason, and we'll kind of see where they go from there. But, the Atlantic just keeps getting better. So, if you're a Bruins fan, you can't help but be worried. But, hey, being a Boston sports fan right now,
it's not fun.
It's not fun. It's not fun at all. I mean, if you look at it from all points, you obviously have the Bruins who haven't done anything in an Atlantic division that's getting much, 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 much better. That's bad. And then you have the Red Sox, who we'll talk about up next, but fucking embarrassment. You have the Celtics, who are looking to trade longtime member Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant, who averaged 8 points in the first round of the playoffs. And then you have the Patriots, who are just kind of stagnant and have no cornerbacks. Yeah,
we're a mess. Mm-hmm. We're a mess.
I think I'm 20 years old. I've seen every single year of Boston sports. I'd say this is an all-time low.
Yep, this is all-time low.
This is all-time.
And I think it's gonna get worse. That's the bad part. I think it's just a big old downhill slope from here.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully Matt Jones just carries us right back up.
Right, which we will talk about in the NFL segment. I'll write that down in the notes. That'll be interesting to talk about. But not great. Hopefully it starts to trend upwards, and hopefully I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't really have a solution to this.
No, I don't.
But I now know how New York fans feel.
Yeah, right. We're finally normal sports fans.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, welcome back to reality, buddy.
Yep.
It was a fun 20 years of success, but hey, we're starting to feel some mediocrity for once. So, that'll cut it for the NHL news. Oh, we have one more piece, actually. Sorry about that. The Sharks hired David Quinn.
Thank God he wasn't hired in Boston.
Bombshell. Yeah, exactly. That's really all I can say.
Huge headline. I put huge headline
in parentheses. Yeah. I mean, the Sharks, they're definitely off to a weird start in Mike Greer. Obviously has made a lot of good moves, trading Brent Burns for a bag of pucks and then signing David Quinn. So I'd say he's batting about zero right now.
Yeah.
In terms of making effective moves for the franchise, and it's tough to see. So hopefully they'll give us Logan Couture for a fourth-round pick.
Maybe they take like 50% of his contract too.
Nick Foligno for Logan Couture. Trade is one for one. Yeah, exactly. So that'll cut it for the NHL news. And then we'll move on to Major League Baseball, which if you were here for the last episode, we said that this is a baseball podcast now. And we're getting going with the second half of the season, and really nothing has happened but the same thing that was happening before the All-Star break. I put on the notes, Red Sox, if we even want to talk about it. I don't want to be around it.
I don't even know where to start the conversation. That's how bad it is right now.
It's bad in all aspects. I mean, you get out in the first game back, Jarren Duran, for the second time this season, Red Sox outfielder loses the ball in the lights, looking like the most confused person on planet Earth looking for the ball, and then he proceeds to not run for it after it hits the center field wall. It was just the most baffling play ever. Christian Arroyo did it a couple weeks ago against the Yankees. And you thought, okay, well, there you go. That's the moment of the season. And then a week later, it happened again. I don't know. Is it a Fenway thing?
I was going to say, do we have to replace the lights?
It hasn't happened. It's happened twice in 1 year. It's never happened before.
No, this is an anomaly.
Usually that's a day game thing. Sun's right in your face. Not these huge stadium lights that they have everywhere. So I don't know, man. It's tough. And then Big Papi gets inducted to the Hall of Fame, which is awesome. Best player in Red Sox history.
Mm-hmm. I think most clutch hitter in Red Sox history.
I think I can say that. And it was a big day for Red Sox fans. And then they played the Blue Jays, and they made 3 hours in a row. And they overshadowed the greatest player in their history. They overshadowed his Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah, there you go.
No.
What?
Induction.
That's
Hall of Fame induction.
Okay.
By just being an absolute embarrassment. You said cue the Benny Hill theme. I think that's incredibly fitting. Their team running around with their heads cut off, but they won a game yesterday.
They did. The Yellow Sox won a game.
Yep, the Yellow Sox.
Fucking yellow jerseys.
I don't want to ever watch the Red Sox ever again. If I walk in that stadium and I don't see the marathon yellow and blue, I might just walk right. I'm going to walk out. I'm going to go right back on the orange line, go right back to Oak Grove, and walk right back to my house and do something that's going to make me happy. Because the Red Sox are tired. The Yellow Sox, wired.
Oh yeah,
wired. So they are 12-2 in those jerseys all the time. Make them the permanent jerseys.
I know, just make a gray version at this point, right?
It got so bad that in the last kind of stretch of the season when they're trying to make it the postseason, they would wear them every game.
And we were winning games.
And then you just kind of sat there like, why don't we wear these in the playoffs? Like, who says no? First team to ever win a World Series with their City Connect jerseys. I'm pretty sure Nike would just like
splooge
cream their pants. But I don't know. Maybe it's just they don't. I don't get it. Like, what's the psychology? We need to bring a psychologist.
We need a sports psychologist.
Sports psychologist to kind of break down why when you wear a different jersey you play better. But yeah, yesterday they showed some fire. Nick Pivetta didn't allow a run in the first inning. How about that?
Yeah, this is what we're excited about.
Little victories, man. At this point, it's just all about finding the little things that make you happy with the Boston Red Sox. And he didn't allow a run. And they ended up winning 3-1. Yolmer Sanchez,
who pitched in the game that we were just getting absolutely blown out.
Yep. He had an RBI. Alex Verdugo had an RBI. It was fun. It was fun watching them win a baseball game. And then you had the Guardians. I was calling the Indian. What was his name? The kid who was freaking out on the mound. Karinchak. Was just losing his mind. I mean, the kid took 20 seconds to throw a pitch. Granted, he had stuff, but he was not taking very kindly to when the Red Sox fans started giving him the pitch clock.
Yeah, those were my friends that started that.
Really?
Yeah, those were my friends. Did
you see what he said on live television?
No.
He strikes out. I think it was Franchi Cordero. Which, can we please, for the fucking life of me, stop getting fired up when you strike out Franchi Cordero? Might as well be sending out little Tommy and the Double-A Mud Hens Little League baseball team, striking him out and telling him to go sit the fuck down.
Yeah.
Like, it's Franchi Cordero.
This guy's swinging a pool noodle.
He's swinging a pool noodle.
And you have the audacity to put Franchi Cordero and Bobby Dalbec back-to-back.
Back-to-back.
What are you doing?
He's just giving the pitchers way too. Alek Manoah and Karinchak are just two guys who are so fired up and have such a passion for the game that they're going to strike out two straight guys and be happy about it. So when you put those guys back to back, it's just brutal. Put Bob in the 9 spot, put Franchi in the 7 spot. Just give me someone in between.
Put Franchi down in Worcester again, so we can just start raking in Worcester and we get our confidence back up, and then he comes back up and just starts shitting the bed again.
Absolutely. So
time is a flat circle.
Yep.
We say it all the time.
The Red Sox are the laughingstock of the Major League Baseball League. Mm-hmm. The Major League Baseball League. Again, and I'm pretty sure it was the same thing this time around. And if they make the playoffs, cool.
Yeah, right.
Wear the yellow jerseys.
Yeah.
But right now, it's just like Chris Sale, 15-day IL, which is good.
That's actually good news.
It's good. A lot of people after he got hit by that line drive in the pinky and on his throwing hand feared that his season was over.
He was like a woman with the wedding ring flash, and he was just like, my pinky. Yep. I can't throw. I can't do anything.
Mr. Cora, look at this 90-degree angle. So that was tough. Definitely a bad beat.
Nurse's office. My finger hurts.
But yeah, he's only on 15-day IL, which is nice. I will take that all day. Little victories, and hopefully he can come back and stay healthy. But yeah,
God forbid he stays healthy.
God forbid. We're at a very crucial spot where the Red Sox will decide if they are sellers or buyers. I know you told me on the train that JD Martinez is on the market. Hopefully they can get something good for him. But, it's just definitely a pivotal time, and you just got to wonder if they're going to throw in the towel.
Yeah, at this point, I have no idea. But one thing I wanted to touch on before we get out of the Major League Baseball League.
Major League Baseball League.
I willingly watched that game when it was like 22-2.
Yep.
22-1.
You were texting me. I was like, dude, fucking turn it off.
He was like, are you a psychopath?
Turn it off.
Literally the best thing in baseball is listening and watching a game just go so off the rails to the point where the broadcasters just start shooting the shit. It is it is my favorite thing in sport.
You put the Joey Molinaro video on your TikTok, right?
Yeah, it was like almost like fitting. It was like it's one of my favorite things to listen to is just watch baseball announcers just start basically talking like podcast style.
Yeah.
And there's strike one. Yeah, what you're putting peanut butter? You're putting jelly on first? Like, come on, man.
Do you even scrape the peanut butter off the knife?
Off the knife? You are a sick man. I gotta call the authorities.
It's great. It's great. It's watching them shoot the shit. It's people chirp baseball for being a slow game, but when baseball's at its slowest, it might be at its best.
It's a beauty.
Yeah,
it's a hidden gem.
Yeah, it's America's pastime. Pastimes are supposed to be relaxing. So I would like it if it was another team that was down 20-3. But it is what it is. Before we get away from the Boston Red Sox, they have the best bullpen in the league. Yeah. I don't care if they are hot garbage 1 through 9. They have the best bullpen in the league. John Schreiber, pretty sure has a .52 ERA.
Yeah, I think they might trade him. Just because, like, who was this guy, and he's got a .52. I think that's just that's right up Heimblum's alley. Oh,
if they trade John Schreiber, I'm
jumping off. I'm
jumping
going.
off. He's my favorite player.
I love John.
He's
Schreiber.
the only person on the whole entire roster that I trust to do something positive. He's phenomenal. He should have been an all-star. He had better stats than most of the all-stars, but since it's John Schreiber, wearing 46.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, it's just a joke. You have him. You have Garrett Whitlock, who should be number 2 starter on any good team. And then you have Tanner Houck, who's lights out.
Yeah.
Those 3 guys, I trust them more than anybody to say, Game 7 World Series, we need 4 more good innings. Sending those 3 guys out, maybe with the exception of Tanner Houck, full confidence.
Tanner Houck giving you a heart attack before getting the 4 outs, of course. But like Whitlock and Schreiber,
they're so poised. I mean, their splitter, their cutter, their curveballs, so freaking consistent. They're the only consistent thing about this baseball team is John Schreiber's curveball.
Oh.
And if they trade him, all hope is out the window.
Yeah,
but I've just been watching them every single game, and it's been tough. But when they get to those late innings and they bring out the bullpen and those kind of pitchers, they're lights out.
Listen, if you want to go for it this year, just go out and get a good lefty, because I'm so sick of this Austin Davis guy.
Traded Michael Chavis for him.
Horse shit, this guy. And then, I mean, go get a first baseman. If you're gonna go all in, just go get a first baseman, and then we'll just see where it goes from there.
CJ Cron.
And then we wait for James Paxton to come wherever the fuck he is right now.
I'm exhausted.
$13 million to sit on his ass in an apartment building.
The Big Maple.
Recover. Get your ass out there. Come on.
Chicken wings and beer.
I need the Big Maple. I need it now.
Whatever. So
call JG Wentworth.
We'll obviously talk about on Friday. Hopefully it gets better. But I'm going to need the Yellow Sox tonight.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. End of story. So that's that. There's really nothing we can report otherwise on the MLB. Juan Soto, from a source, should add this notes. From a source, Cardinals are out. They're not getting Juan Soto. Just from a little birdie, they told me that the package that they're asking for is too much. Cardinals, want nothing to do with it. So I think it's kind of pivoting from San Diego to LA to New York. Could be any one of those, but it'll definitely be interesting. And who knows? He might just end up staying.
Yeah, you know what? That would be the most anticlimactic thing to happen. Is
I'd like
just staying and then leaving in the offseason.
That or signing a deal.
Yep. Let's see.
I'd be all for it. So, hey, that'll be a fun thing to talk about that isn't the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll definitely talk about that. So, thank you for listening to Red Sox Therapy. End session. We will now move on to the NIFL. The National Football League is getting going.
It's getting juicy. We got training camps.
July 28th. First day of Patriots training camp. Tomorrow, 8 a.m. doors open. Mac Jones, in the words of Bill Belichick, is looking incredible. He's looking incredible. He's looking absolutely incredible. Obviously, he worked with Tom House, throwing mechanics coach, who takes one client a summer to work with. And he took our Mac McCorkle Jones. And I heard that his technique and even his physique is looking
He's
10 times better.
Juice now. He's lost a lot of, like, I wouldn't say lost a lot of weight, but lost a lot of fat and turned it into muscle. It looks
Absolutely.
Like.
So I meant to quote it directly from Bill Belichick, but I forgot.
I forgot what it was.
He said, Bill Belichick said that Mac Jones this offseason, in quotes, dramatic improvement. Mac Jones. He's going to have a season.
We got a guy.
We got our guy.
We got our guy.
Hopefully Devontae Parker can be the second coming of Jesus Christ. Jacoby Myers can continue to be Jacoby Myers. Kendrick Bourne can be Kendrick Bourne. Hunter Henry is a top 10 tight end in the league.
He is.
Derrick Henry is a top 5 running back in the league.
He is.
But he's not on the Patriots, so fuck him. Hunter Henry, you got a pretty good receiving core. Obviously, the interior of your lineman isn't too good. Your running backs are fucking nails.
Yep.
On the defense, you don't have a lot of cornerbacks. You don't have, very good linemen. But you've always kind of made it work.
We've made it work for 20 years now. So, I am going to say, Bill, what the fuck are you doing? But at the same time, I'm going to trust what he's going to do.
Right.
But the only thing that I don't trust is Joe Judge calling plays on the offensive
no
side of the football.
There's no offensive coordinator. There's no defensive coordinator. Matt Patricia's back.
There's just coaches at this point. They're just...
Hey, man, I like it.
It's just Bill, Matty, Joe, Gerard Mayo,
the fellas.
And fucking Steve Belichick fucking doing cocaine in the back.
All right. I feel like we have to have a full episode on Friday about the Patriots just so we can start getting into training camp.
Yeah.
We just want to talk about that quote from Bill Belichick. Dramatic improvement. Mm-hmm. Love that.
That is exciting to hear.
I will take that all day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take that all day. It's better than, undramatic improvement.
Yeah, it's better than he's doing better.
Yeah, without question. So you definitely wanted to see him kind of fill into, his frame and kind of work on his technique and all that stuff. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
So you definitely, you like to hear that, absolutely. And will you be attending any training camp?
I've actually never been.
Never been?
Nope, never been to training
Great
camp.
experience. It's always very, very hot. You have to get there very early, and traffic's not great. But, if you love your Patriots, obviously you haven't watched them play in 8 months.
I got to go to a fucking actual Pats game, though.
They're the
I've
best.
been to one in so long.
I went to the one.
I enjoy them every single time.
The day after Christmas Day where they got blown out by the Bills.
Oh.
I went to that one. But it was fun. It's a good time. It's obviously cold as shit, and you can barely see what's happening. But it's great. It's always very fun. So we will talk about the Patriots in depth on Friday, and hopefully have a lot more to talk about with baseball.
Yeah, right.
And hockey. Nazem Kadri, John
Klingberg. Just do something.
Do something.
Go somewhere. So we
get
have
off
something
vacation
to talk
for
about.
Christ's sake.
This is getting
And someone signed Sonny Milano.
No,
I said, can somebody?
Oh,
he's a good player.
He's a decent middle six guy.
Hey,
who you're gonna get for pretty cheap.
He's very good at batting the puck out of the air.
He can do that. He can throw it down.
I take him on the Bruins.
Alley-oops.
Take him on the Bruins in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah. Maybe bring back Danton Heinen. Everybody's in fucking Italy. Might as well bring back Danton Heinen. Right?
Absolutely. Invite him on the trip.
Dude, we're getting the band back together.
If you couldn't tell, we have fucking nothing to talk about.
Yeah,
nothing to talk
we're
about.
Bare bones.
So
off the rails, bare bones.
Off the absolute rails. But we do have something big to talk about for NFL fans. Kyler, 5'2" Murray, has signed a $230 million contract with the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, he did the typical thing that all NFL players do, all NBA players do. Oh, he unfollowed the Cardinals on Instagram. Oh, he removed all the pictures of him with the Cardinals. Shut the fuck up.
It's the same shit.
If you're trying to get $230 million, you got to scare them a little bit.
Yeah, right?
Make it seem like you're unhappy with them. Give them a signal.
Yeah, I know. You got to fucking show some urgency.
You do, and that's exactly what happened. Cliff Kingsbury pulled up his big boy pants. They inked him to a new contract, basically identical to the one that Deshaun Watson signed in Cleveland.
Yep.
And he might not even be playing this year.
Yeah.
So obviously two different contracts there.
There is a clause though that is different in that contract, saying that he has to do some independent studying. 4
hours of independent study a day or a week. A week. 4 hours per week during the season. That's in compliance to the new deal, which basically just means he needs to sit down at his little big boy desk and watch film for 4 hours instead of, playing Fall Guys on Twitch like he's used to.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, is he just not watching film? Is he just going out there and playing football?
That's what there might have been some fluctuance in terms of how many hours he was watching film a week. He might have just kind of skimmed over, their general defensive packages and then went out there and balled out. So maybe, who knows, he's out there and he's pulling the Tom Brady's where he's like, okay, cover 2, bingo, absolutely exposing him. So maybe that's just what they want. Maybe Cliff Kingsbury kind of holds his players to a higher standard, and Kyler was kind of bypassing that standard. He's like, okay, man, if we're going to drop the bag on you, I'm going to need you to comply with my rule, 4 hours per week of you watching film. And he was like, yeah, dude,
okay.
$230 million. I'll come to your house. We can watch it on your flat screen if you want.
I was going to say, I'll bring popcorn.
I'll bring my
snacks.
whiteboard. Exactly. So, I mean, for that kind of money, you can really get the guy to do anything. I know people were clowning him because he's a little baby boy.
Hey, take it easy.
You got to tell him to do his homework. Did you not see Twitter? That was not my words.
Oh, I know. Twitter was all over.
They were all over.
Twitter was all over.
It was like you got to do your homework for 4 hours before you play your video games.
Yeah,
that's basically what they made it seem.
Maybe he
like.
was watching film when he was playing like the Rams or something, like big Monday Night Football game or something.
Right.
And then maybe it's like week 16 and they're playing the Jets. I'm not watching film.
Right.
I'm gonna go out there and just do my thing. Fuck the Jets.
That's
probably, you know what? It honestly could be that he's just skimming through, like a half hour, just looking through the notes.
If you want the details to the addendum, Murray would need to study material, and this is quoted, material provided to him by the club in order to prepare for the club's next upcoming game. Murray will receive, in quotes, credit for completing his film study according to the contract. However, the addendum states that Murray spends time in mandatory meetings studying does not count, and Murray will also receive credit if he does not, quote, personally study the provided material in good faith.
You're basically telling
your quarterback. Do they trust this guy to do anything?
You're telling your quarterback to do your homework.
To do his job.
Oh, my God.
And you just sound this. I mean.
And then you just gave him
the bare fucking
bag.
minimum, dude. That's a bare minimum. I don't know. That's wild.
That's pretty weird. That's pretty weird stuff right there.
Hey, but we've seen it before. There's been clauses where guys have to come to off-season workouts, come to all these different workouts, different team meetings.
Stay at a certain weight. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So you see it all the time. This one's just a little bit stranger than the others, but it's a good deal. Kyler Murray's also a great player. They got a lot of good pieces for him. Mm-hmm. So I think, who knows, this could definitely be, a steal 5 years down the road, but you definitely just need to see more growth out of him, and hopefully that'll come with his mandatory studying.
Absolutely.
So there's not a lot to report there. Hopefully DeAndre Hopkins is healthy this season, and they can make a good run because I think they have a good team. Mm-hmm. They still have Kenyon Drake, right?
No, he is with the Raiders.
He's with the Raiders?
And they lost Chase Edmonds.
Okay.
Good thing I don't know who the hell's in there. Oh, James Conner.
James Conner.
They have that fucking
number
fridge.
6. Yep. That's what I was thinking. So they have James Conner. They have DeAndre Hopkins. They have Zach Ertz.
They have Zach Ertz. My ball, Zach Ertz.
Bingo. So hopefully he'll have a big year after getting the pay. But it's definitely kind of, I don't know if you get these vibes, that they didn't really want to pay him, but they thought, screw it, we have him. I don't think we're going to be able to get anyone else who's better, but this could blow up in our face. Let's just give him the money.
That sounds about right.
Because he hasn't proven himself. He hasn't really had any big playoff moments. He hasn't been able to kind of lead his offense, be the leader of his team, and he's not watching film. So it's good that they got to get those clauses in. They've locked him in. Hopefully he can mature, grow a couple inches, and become the player that they hope he can. So with that said, that ends the NIFL, National Football League news. We'll move on to the NBA. Yesterday, or two days ago, if you're listening on Thursday, or Wednesday, sorry. If you're listening on Wednesday, 2 days ago, if you're in Boston, you woke up to the news that Kevin Durant could possibly become a Boston Celtic by the end of the day. Brad Stevens put together a package of Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and a first-round pick and sent it over to the Nets.
Supposedly. There's been so many other reports now that saying Jaylen was in the trade package, he wasn't. So this is all from, shams, but apparently some of this stuff is just a sham.
It might. Bingo. Right up top. There you go. That was a good one.
We could totally
There's no league that likes being more relevant in their offseason than the NBA.
It's crazy. It's like keeping up with the Kardashians at this fucking point.
Oh, we're not playing games? Okay, bam, NBA draft. That's a huge thing. Bam, Summer League. That goes on for way too long. Like a bunch of G League players. No one wants to watch that. And then bam, you have the Kyrie saga. You have Kevin Durant wanting to get out. You have DeAndre Ayton opting out and then signing a new contract. It's like nobody makes their offseason a bigger deal to their fans than the NBA.
Yeah, well, and the major networks. I mean, they shove it right in your face.
Yeah,
I mean,
ESPN.
You got all those shows with like Stephen A. and then you got Shannon and Skip on Fox, and that's all they pretty much talk about.
Well, yeah, you saw it on Undisputed. Kevin Durant makes a TikTok of him just looking in the screen, go, how do I work this thing? And then that's the whole TikTok. 2 hours later, Skip Bayless is tweeting out, on Undisputed, we're talking about Kevin Durant's new TikTok. Buddy,
come on, Skip.
Who's paying you?
Come on, Skip.
Talk about some actual sports, for God's sake. It's a joke.
We're in the dog days right now. We're in the
exactly.
We're mooching for content.
And the media and the teams in the league are just grasping at straws to try and stay in the public eye during their offseason, which, if you just do what every other league does, just, let fans have a little downtime from being obsessed with your league. Obviously, NBA fans have never seen the outside world.
Wild. I mean,
and NBA Twitter in general. So they probably
NBA Twitter is the biggest fuck fest I think I've ever seen in my life.
It's a dark, dark place. It's like
it's
eating fast food. It's eating fast food. You feel horrible after you consume it. It's like, I don't know why I did that.
Yeah.
So it's
I don't want to be around anymore.
I don't want to be around anymore. So going back to the Jaylen Brown trade, obviously that happens, and everyone's very confused as to, is it legitimate? Is this actually something that could happen? Is this an actual real report? Woj and Shams, who are the two most reliable sources in the NBA, came out and reported it, that it was true, and then Yahoo Sports kind of came out afterwards and said that it was actually from a couple weeks ago, and that they haven't made a real deal since, and that conversations were slowing down, and no one really knew what to believe. And then out of nowhere, if fans weren't anxious enough, Jaylen Brown tweets SMH. Didn't need that.
No.
Didn't need that.
Dude, he's like, at this point, I feel like you got to trade him because I feel like he's going to leave. But he says he loves being in Boston.
Exactly.
So it's like, what the hell are you supposed to think?
That whole thing happened 2 days ago, and then today and yesterday, there's kind of been reports from him and his agent that, the talks, haven't really gone anywhere, and that he wants to be here for a long time and he doesn't want to be traded, which, is obvious. When he got drafted, he basically said, I'm going to go to war for this city. Like, I want to be a Celtic for life. That's basically what he said when he was drafted third overall. So I think he likes playing here, but definitely being floated in trade deals is kind of disrespectful. But I think if you see it more in a way of, I'm in the kind of tier of player that I need to be included in these packages, the same way that Russell Westbrook is, that Anthony Davis is, that Karl Anthony Towns is, that DeAndre Ayton is, that Klay Thompson is, like all these guys who are in a top tier in the league get included in these huge deals. So I think you should see it as more of a, people hold you in that high of a regard that you're going to go get a top 5 player ever play the game of basketball.
Yeah.
And you're going to trade me as the main piece. So I think, obviously you don't want to be traded, but you got to think of it in kind of that light. If that even makes sense.
No, I get you exactly. And I agree with you 100%, but what do you think of the actual deal? I mean, I heard it was Jaylen, Derek White, maybe even Marcus Smart thrown in there, and then just a shit ton of first-round picks. Like, are we okay with giving up our guard depth for a 33-year-old Kevin Durant? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
It's all in terms of, do you think Jaylen Brown can evolve to a spot in his game where you think he can be that guy and win you a championship? Because obviously, he outplayed Jason Tatum in a couple finals games, but he turned the ball over almost every possession.
Yeah.
And he really just couldn't. He was making the shots he needed to, but just getting the ball off the floor and keeping your ball handle was very difficult for him. So you got to think, if you have a Kevin Durant who's on his game, do you win that series against the Golden State Warriors? I think absolutely.
I think you do.
Because he's a guy who can shoot consistently when he's on his game. So when a guy like Jason Tatum, doesn't have it, then he can kind of step and be that guy. But I think if you're a Celtics fan, and this is definitely the way I see it, your ideal trade is Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Derek White in the first.
If you can keep Jaylen Brown out of the trade, fantastic.
I don't think you can.
But I don't think there's a world where
There's absolutely not a world.
I don't think there's a world where you cannot have Jaylen Brown in the trade.
I
don't want them to trade Jaylen Brown. I don't want it to happen.
There were talks that the Lakers were interested in getting KD, and so the Nets reached out, and they were like, okay, give us LeBron and like these forward players and a couple first-round picks. So I think if you're going to get this guy and you're very determined to do so, you got to hope that it gets so far in the season where he's good as gone in the offseason that you just ship him off. And hopefully if you're receiving him, you're getting him for a lower price than the asking price.
Kind of similar to like a Taylor Hall, like pretty much just like pushing himself out.
Exactly.
Yeah, and just getting him for pennies on the dollar.
Exactly. So when it's a top 10 player, I know we call him top 5, but I'd say top 10 is pretty accurate. Guy that's ever played the game of basketball, I think you just got to hope that you can get the best deal you can get where you stay contenders. Because obviously you have a great bench. Mm-hmm. You have Gallinari, you have Brogdon, who you just got. You Pritchard, have Derek White, you have Pritchard, you have Grant Williams. So obviously you have a lot of players to spare that if you were able to find a reasonable deal where you could kind of keep most of your key players, I'd say you do it just because of the caliber that he has. Obviously he's won a couple of championships, so I think you got to keep him. Or you got to if this is what I'm trying to say. This is my final argument. Fucking hell, man. I think if you get him down to a reasonable price, you got to pull the trigger.
Yeah, well, yeah, reasonable price, yeah. I would say, yeah. But I still think that hanging on to Jaylen Brown, and he's 25. He still has a lot of room to grow.
Absolutely. He's a great player.
He's not even, like, really in – I wouldn't even say he's really in his, like, prime of his career yet. So I think, like you said, if there's a reasonable price and it's not going to completely – tear a hole through the roster, then yeah, 100%. 100%.
Absolutely.
But on the flip side, I do think it's important that if Jaylen Brown wants to be here, let's keep him here. We want want
guys who are going to stay
This
here.
city loves athletes that genuinely want to be here,
right?
And they are worshipped in this town
without question.
So, I mean, I think if he just went to the finals and everything, he's going to grow not only as a basketball player but as a human being. I think he's got to stay.
Right, and I think we talk about his problem being the ball handling and stuff like that. That's easy enough to fix.
Yeah.
Working on your handles is like, it's not like you got to, pull a Lonzo Ball and change your whole entire, shooting form.
I think that comes with, like, honestly, with maturity. It's like becoming an older basketball player and knowing, like, okay, what's important and what's, stuff that I can kind of push to the side. But, like, taking care of the basketball is a big thing that he's going to have to, incorporate into his game.
Right. For two young guys, Jason and Jaylen, they are very young. They are making mistakes that young players make, and they usually are ironed out throughout the years. So I think in terms of that, you'd rather keep the 1-2 punch than trade the second best guy for a guy that is in the decline. Yeah. I'd say it's in the decline. But going back to what you said about wanting to be here and how the town loves players that like playing in Boston, you'd be trading a guy that loves playing in Boston for a guy who's Kevin Durant was with the Oklahoma City Thunder, left them, who were very loyal to him, left them to go play for the Warriors, and then left them because they were in decline to go play for the Brooklyn Nets, and now wants to leave them. What do you think he's going to do to you?
Well, yes, exactly. And he already had the chance to come here.
Exactly.
In 2015. It was people forget it was Golden State and us in the race, and he went to
Yahoo
Golden
Sports
State.
Reported that he was coming to us.
Yeah, I remember that.
They broke that, and it turned out not to be true. So I think in terms of that, you definitely want to steer clear, and that's how most Boston sports fans are feeling when they woke up on Sunday morning. Is it Sunday?
Yeah.
That's how they felt when they woke up on Sunday morning, and just when things couldn't get worse with the Bruins, Red Sox, and the Patriots, the Celtics found a way to make a fool out of themselves as well. So
Brad Stevens, put down your fucking phone.
Put down your phone. Put down your phone.
Put down your fucking phone.
Yeah, but he did kind of reference what he was saying a couple weeks ago, where if there's a trade to make your team better without kind of losing those depth guys, and you got to make it happen. And I think that's kind of what he was alluding to because, when there's a guy on the market like Kevin Durant, who's a top 5 player in the league, he's going to make your team better.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have to give up, your number 2 guy, then it is what it is. But Brad Stevens, put down your fucking phone.
Just get off the phone, man.
You've constructed the perfect 10-man roster. One of the
we have the depth that we didn't have last year. Now,
if it doesn't work out next year, then make the trade.
Yeah.
But right now, you got to see how they play.
Exactly. Somebody else.
Exactly. There's going to be big fish.
Go get Devin Booker for Christ's sake.
So,
I don't know.
Just you got the roster. Let them play out a year, and if they still can't do it, then you go make the big controversial trade that you did when you traded Isaiah Thomas. For Kyrie Irving, and we saw how that worked out. So, put down your phone. That's all we have for the NBA. That wraps it up for our top 4 big sports.
Yeah, that's
quiet weekend.
Yeah,
not quiet for July. You had a major blockbuster trade in the NHL. You have
Red Sox therapy.
You had Red Sox therapy. You had a big contract to Kyler Murray and the start of training camp, which would be more of a Friday episode. We're going to get into that. You had a Kevin Durant to the Boston Celtics trade rumor. Now jerseys of the week.
And, well, might as well call it helmets of the week.
Helmets of the week.
Because I couldn't really think of any jerseys, but
people are just changing their helmets.
Yeah, everybody's just adding alternate helmets, and some of them are absolutely insane. I gotta pull it up here. Give me 1 second here. Thought it was on the NFL fucking.
What, you talking about the Jets?
Yeah, I mean, you had the Jets, you have the Saints one with the it almost looks like a gold stripe, but it's like their logo.
Yep.
Tiny, and it makes it look like a stripe. It's actually pretty sick. The Jets one is so dope. I like the green face mask on it. I don't know. Obviously, we talked about a little bit last week about the the Bengals helmets and Pat the Patriot coming back.
Right.
But
this time of year, there's not a lot of jersey news. I feel like next week we'll kind of revert to looking at more classic jerseys and picking one and talking about that like we used to do. So, but yeah, definitely helmets of the week, and that was huge. But kind of reverting back, I think we missed some stuff.
We did miss one important thing.
We missed a couple, 3 important things.
Oh, we missed 3. Oh, okay.
All across the major sports league. We're gonna have to apologize to you folks. Going back to the AHL, Jesse Puljujarvi signed a 1-year, $3 million prove-it deal with the Edmonton Oilers. This is the guy that told his agent that he wanted out, but it doesn't seem like the market for him is good whatsoever.
No, not at all.
So I think he's just going to take the $3 million that the Oilers can give him. I know this is a guy, he doesn't, produce a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, he doesn't really do much.
Doesn't really do much for a guy that's a third overall pick. So I think 1 year, $3 million deal, playing middle six role, hopefully elevate your game and prove it. And this is a prove-it deal for sure.
Hell, I'll take $3 million to play with Draisaitl and McDavid.
Absolutely.
Jesus.
Absolutely. So that's just a little trade that just dropped before we started the podcast. And then we have the NFL. We have Danny Amendola. Happy retirement.
Playoff fucking Dola.
Playoff Dola.
Oh.
This was a guy that in their darkest hour, Wes Welker just left to go to the Broncos. This was a guy that came in to fill those shoes of Wes Welker, who was a fan favorite here. This is a guy that he played in St. Louis. He was pretty good.
Yeah.
But you knew he had no chance at replacing Wes Welker, who's a top slot receiver in the league, who was great with Tom Brady, and it was heartbreaking to see him go. And then you replace him with a guy, Danny Amendola. And not only does Danny Amendola come in and kind of help Julian Edelman fill his shoes that Wes Welker kind of left, he wins 2 Super Bowls.
And he had so many memorable moments. I mean, I can just think of him toe tapping in the back of the end zone against Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just what a gamer he was. He was by definition of a Patriot. He was a Patriot.
He was he's the white little slot receivers that the Patriots have. He was top 3 all the time. Him, Edelman, and Wes Welker were phenomenal. Him along with Chris Hogan, they went to so many Super Bowls.
Chris Hogan.
But just going back to what I said, it was so devastating to lose a guy like that. But Danny Amendola kind of came in and did everything he can. He was tough as nails, and he was just a great number 2 target with Edelman once Edelman started getting going. So happy retirement. Obviously, it's a guy that once he left, he kind of settled down and then kind of picked it back up once he got with Detroit and Houston and whatnot. So I think it was definitely time for him to retire. But he was a great Patriot. One of my favorites personally.
Me too.
That catch against Jacksonville that you mentioned, which is absolutely nails. So it's great. Obviously, it's great to kind of look back on all the fun memories he had, and it was a great career. So
yeah, thank you, Danny Amendola.
Thank you, Danny Amendola. Absolutely, Dola. So that was fantastic. And then to the NFL, Chris Carson is retiring due to neck complications. Number 32 for the Seahawks. He was a great running back for the time that they had there, and obviously he was a mainstay there for the last couple of years once they lost Marshawn Lynch. It's just tough to see, especially when you have a guy who's had so many neck injuries, but you'd rather him call it quits instead of keep straining. The neck is basically the support of your body. So when you got to call it quits, you got to call it quits. But it was a great career for Chris Carson.
Yeah, he was pretty much a mainstay on my fantasy football team.
Yeah.
He just kind of gave you that old school power back kind of vibe, but like had a little bit of shiftiness to him. I don't know. He, it obviously it sucks to see some but good for him for walking away and knowing it's time to walk away. Need more people to start doing that.
Absolutely. So, I mean, good for him. Great career. Obviously, could have been better. He was incredibly consistent, and yeah, good. Happy career to him. So that will wrap up top 4, and then we did jerseys of the week, how much of the week. Definitely not a lot to report there. Now, to close it out, what we watching?
What are we watching? I love this segment.
I love it.
This is so good.
I look forward to it every week, and obviously it's only the second time we've done it. Last time we did
sports movies,
the top sports movie drafts, and hey, I hand up, I lost that one.
What?
I lost that one. Going back, you had Rocky, you had Miracle. I think if you look at the mainstays, I think you edged me out a little bit there. I'm
going into this thinking I'm 0-1.
You're 0-1?
I thought I was 0-1.
Okay.
I'm about to be 0-2. I'm about to get my ass kicked in this.
You think so?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Because
Okay.
a lot of these shows, I know these are all mainstays. I know this is all mainstream stuff. Haven't really watched a lot of these.
Really?
Well, I tried to at least, and I couldn't get into it.
Hey, well, you're just like the audience. You come here to get the knowledge, to get the recommendations. And today we're doing the top TV show drafts. Last week we did top sports movies. That went very well. We had a lot of fun with that. And now we're doing the top TV shows.
And you get the first pick because I had the first pick last time.
I appreciate that. We're going to do teams of 5 just like we did last week. We'll do a couple honorable mentions, and we'll wrap it up. For the first overall pick, I am taking Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Have you seen this one?
I tried to at least, but I'm familiar with how it goes.
Game of Thrones. It's a medieval drama series. So many good characters. I'd say it's the most popular TV show of all time.
Yeah.
You know, obviously Seinfeld's very popular. Friends was very popular. I think this one, without a shadow of a doubt, when it was in its peak, seasons 4 through 8, had the most viewers. Every Sunday, wait till 9 o'clock, eat your dinner, be talking at the dinner table with your family, like, can't wait for Thrones tonight. Sit down, fired up. Every single episode had something spicy that happened. You had dragons, you had all these different storylines. You had, Daenerys, you had Jon Snow up in the north, you had the Wall, you had Bran Stark traveling around, you had Arya going to the Man with No Name and learning how to be an assassin there. You had, the Battle of the Families, you had the Lannisters. Everything. There was never a show that had so many moving pieces and just does it so effectively and so smoothly. There's a show else on this. There's another show on this list that kind of tries the same thing, where it has a lot of different alternating story paths, and they kind of go through it too quickly. Game of Thrones doesn't do that. No. It's so smooth. It's every single detail is so fine tuned, and the best thing about it is it's an adaptation. To books, to a series of books. And I think, without a shadow of a doubt, this is going to be a controversial statement, it's the best adaptation of a book or a memoir or a story ever to television. So I think it's great. You have great characters. Obviously, season 7, the second to last season, is okay. Season 8 is a little bad. And that kind of left a sour taste in your mouth. That's why a lot of people don't consider it the greatest show of all time. But I think seasons 1 through 6 are
just masterful.
Gold. It's a masterclass. A lot of good actors also got their start with the show. So you'll see a lot of actors in new shows, and you'll watch Game of Thrones. You're like, oh, that's that guy from that. That's that guy from that. Pedro Pascal, who's in The Mandalorian, is in it. The guy who plays the Russian guy in Stranger Things plays the Man with No Name. There's moments that are just simply jaw-dropping. The story, the score, the cinematography, the characters. It's about 30, 40 good characters. It's must-watch, and that is why it is definitive number 1 greatest show of all time, Game of Thrones.
That was unbelievable. You just went fucking in.
Could have gone for 5 more minutes.
Jesus Christ.
I could have gone for 5 more minutes.
You just went. That was a deep dive. That is by definition deep dive.
I will say, if you don't like the gore, and kind of it's rated R without question. Every episode is HBO. If you watch HBO shows, they don't have a lot of FCC regulations just because they're not government funded. They're not regulated. They're kind of a public television company, so they can do whatever they want, and they definitely do whatever they want here. So phenomenal adaptation. If you haven't watched it, it's 1A. I know there's a lot of debatable best shows of all time. Game of Thrones in a league of its own.
Okay, so my first pick here. You didn't have it on the list, and I am absolutely dumbfounded why you didn't have this on the list. I'm going Entourage.
I had that on the list.
You did?
I fucking had that on the list.
I'm going Entourage.
Damn
my
it.
First pick. that fucking show with the combination of all the characters, but more importantly the music, the cameos, the storylines from episode to episode. It was so good. I mean, you're going into every episode. Who am I going to see?
Yep.
Who am I going to see? Are they going to the Playboy Mansion? Where are we going? Right. There's so many. Are we going to a football game? We going to a baseball game? Oh my God, that's Chuck Liddell in a pickup truck playing a prank on me.
Yep, exactly.
We all know a guy like Johnny Drama.
Without question.
Like, it's just, it really gives you a deep dive into Ari Gold is the best, arguably the best show character I think I've ever seen. Just ripping Lloyd, just tearing Lloyd into
tearing him
asshole.
apart. Smoke more weed, Turtle. Seriously, smoke more weed.
Seriously,
smoke more weed.
Him going into the office building with the paintball gun.
So I'll tell you. You told me I didn't have this on the list.
I
had this as my number 3. Had it as my number 3 in my notes. I said it was endlessly funny. Great cameos every single episode. You had Tom Brady. You had Matt Damon. You had Wahlberg.
That's pretty much Mark Wahlberg's life.
You had Kanye West.
Oh my God.
I mean, you had everybody. You had Kwame Brown.
Kwame Brown.
Exactly. You had everybody. It was endlessly funny, and I love shows that just kind of nail the aesthetic. Obviously, we weren't very old at the time, so we didn't really get the aesthetic of middle to early 2000s Hollywood, and they nail it. They nail it to a T.
Absolutely.
Obviously, Mark Wahlberg kind of wrote this and was the producer of the show, and he kind of based it off his life, coming in as a young superstar and just kind of having the whole entire world at his fingertips, just like Vincent Chase did. My only problem, E should not have been getting that much ass.
Yeah,
he should not.
Can we talk about that?
He's 5'6". He's an Irish guy with a little pipsqueak voice, and he's wheeling Sloan, who's the daughter of a top talent agent in the city. I think. Oh, we're kind of spoiling it a little bit, but Entourage. I think it's one of the funniest shows of all time. It is my number 1.
It's addicting,
rewatchable show.
Yes, it's very, very.
I can go
addicting.
and rewatch every episode. I mean, you have Billy, you have Turtle, you have. You have Johnny Drama, you have Vincent Chase, you have Ari Gold, you have Lloyd. It hits. I know the later seasons are kind of but there's just so many good episodes, and it nails that aesthetic. Like I said, if you have a show that's based in a time period and you're trying to tell the audience what that was like and kind of capture that, and you do it right, it's chef's kiss, and they do it perfectly with the aesthetic they have. So I think you told me I didn't even have it on the list.
I didn't see it.
It was my number 3 overall.
That is crazy.
So you snagged that one. That is a great pick. But do you have any closing remarks on Entourage?
No, we pretty much just got everything out. Just
Absolutely.
Go watch it. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah. So with that said, I will take I feel like we're doing it the wrong way. If I have first pick, you should have second. You have second and third, and then I'll take fourth and fifth.
That's standard snake draft ethics right there.
I feel like I shouldn't have first pick and third pick. But you did last time, so we'll fix it next. We'll fix it next time.
Yes, okay.
So with the third overall pick, I am taking. I have not even watched it all the way through yet. But I feel like just with the historical relevance and how much people love it, I got to take The Sopranos. I got to. I mean, great characters. The way that they balance the drama of the characters and the situations they're in, and then kind of sneak in the wittiness and the comedy that these Italian gangsters have. It's fucking hilarious, but it's equal amounts drama, which HBO does very well. Every single season's very, very strong. I know they're very long seasons with very long episodes, but they make it work. James Gandolfini as Tony Soprano is just like maybe the best casting of all time. And growing up, you heard a lot about being a gangster in the 40s, being in the 60s. You know about Capone, you know about The Godfather,
Goodfellas.
You know about Goodfellas, you know all about that. But if we're talking late 90s, early 2000s, like New Jersey Mafia, you don't know a lot about that. So to be able to sit down and learn about what that was like with the waste management and kind of the modern day, and having to go to the the phones on the side of the street to talk to you guys, and having the phone tapped and stuff like that. Being able to be in that kind of world and kind of see into it in kind of like a modern space instead of the Goodfellas and the Godfather and stuff like that, it's great. That's why I took number 3. I haven't finished it yet just because I'm going through The Boys. Game of Thrones, I finished rather recently. Stranger Things came out this summer, so I think I had to take it. Rest in peace, Paulie. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Tony.
Please protect Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro. Just wrap them in bubble wrap at this point.
I mean,
We're
The Sopranos.
everybody.
Going back to that, the Soprano family are hilarious. Every single member of it are great. It was a mainstay. I wish I finished it so I had more to gush over. I heard that the ending is good enough. That's the worst one in a series. A good series. Game of Thrones has a bad ending. But yeah, I'm taking Sopranos.
Yeah, that's a great fucking pick. Alrighty. With the fourth overall pick, I think we're gonna go. Where is it? I think we'll go. I think we're gonna go Seinfeld. I think I'm gonna grab Seinfeld here. I mean, what more do I have to say about other than Jerry, George, and Kramer just doing absolutely egregious things?
What about Eileen?
And Eileen, sorry. I mean, just like
Elaine. Sorry, Eileen.
Eileen, you throwing me off, man.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, just your it's like it's not your prototypical like comedy in that era, but like.
Right.
Just some of the jokes and some of the timing of these jokes is just, it's insane. I mean, I think I love Kramer more than anything in this row.
Exactly.
I am just...
Cosmo.
Yeah.
Cosmo Kramer. He's one of the most lovable characters of all time.
Yeah, he's an idiot. And it's so funny the way they depict him and some of the ways that they use him in that show. And then, I mean, George... Can you say enough good things about George? What are you doing, Jerry?
What are you doing? It's the balance. Or do you have it? Because I have a lot to say about Seinfeld.
Yeah, you can. I mean, and then I can get into like obviously Jerry Seinfeld, just an absolutely just comedic genius.
Comedic genius, yeah.
Like so, it's like so mundane, like the way he's delivering it too.
Yeah.
But it's so funny.
What are you doing to me? What are you doing?
All right, you could
it's
go ahead.
Perfect. So what I have to say about Seinfeld obviously was also very high on my list. I said Game of Thrones was the most popular TV show of all time. Before that, it was Seinfeld and maybe Friends. But Seinfeld just ran the game. Just the way that the characters worked together with George and Kramer being the comic relief, and then Seinfeld as the main character was perfect. Yeah. And then obviously you have his parents. Every episode, it only has a handful of the characters that you see every episode. And they nail it.
It still
You have
works.
the same characters, and you have the same 5 or 6 characters every episode, and it's still hilarious. The comedic timing's perfect. You have Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld writing the episodes, 2 of the best comedians of our generation, not even our generation, the last 100 years even, writing these episodes. They're absolutely phenomenal. You saw the good work that he did with Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's why it was so good. And they just kept pumping out great episodes, great classics, so quotable. It's worth, it's just, but in general, it's worth a spot on the list just based on how impactful it was.
Yeah.
Because after that came Friends. After that came How I Met Your Mother, and just a line of different other sitcoms that now run, cable television and streaming services. And it never would have happened if Seinfeld didn't have the impact it did. So good, so funny. I don't have a bad thing to say about it.
No, neither do I.
So that's what I think that is a very fitting fourth pick. So. Any other closing remarks on Seinfeld?
No, we're good. Moving on.
5th pick. Now I would say this is the toughest because the big dogs are off the board. We're down to only a select list. But I think I'm gonna have to go with the 5th overall pick. I'm gonna have to go with The Office. That might come back to bite me. That might be my major league. That might. But I felt like that if I didn't take it, you were going to take it.
Nope.
I feel like it's so beloved. It's so good. Every single episode you can turn on whenever. When it was on Netflix, it was the number one show that you can throw in the background. It's just so watchable. And every single episode, seasons 1 through 5, is so consistently good. The jokes are so funny. They have so many good characters. Every character in that office has their moment. I mean, you have Michael, you have Jim, you have Pam, you have Stanley, you have Phyllis, you have the accountants back there, you have Kevin, you have Angela, you have Oscar, you have Creed who butts in at the most perfect times as the local crackhead. You have even Toby and Kelly coming back from the annex. So have you seen it all the way through?
No, I don't.
That's criminal.
I don't like The Office.
What?
Yep. I stand by this, too.
We're taking a pause for my explanation. I need you to break down why you don't like The Office right now.
I will stand by this.
You're not the only one that I know. I know people that don't like The Office.
It's too awkward for me. I feel like the comedy, it's a little too. I think that's the right way to describe it. Yeah, uncomfortable, a little bit awkward in a sense. And the thing is, I love Steve Carell. Yep. I think Steve Carell is one of the funniest human beings on the planet. But I don't know, something about the vibe. I don't know, the vibe in The Office is just a little too awkward for me. I could never really get the foot in front of the other.
I think the reason why you don't like it is because you like Seinfeld, which is laugh tracks and,
Oh, you should see what I got coming up next. They're all just fucking egregious comedies.
Yeah. I know that you added a lot to the end of the list, which I kind of went the HBO drama
you went
series.
Serious, yeah.
And you went the comedies, which is good. You need it. So
that's the beauty of TV shows, though. I think this is why this was important for us to do this.
Absolutely.
And just to see how many branches you can go off of.
Without question.
It's all preference at the end of the day.
And we're not drafting.
I think
the best ones. We're drafting.
I think it's important that the people get to see kind of our personalities.
Without question.
And I think that's important.
So going back to The Office. It slows down a little bit without Michael, but you still have guys like Robert California come in, and Gabe and Ellie and all these great, funny characters. And the writing by B.J. Novak, who plays Ryan, is just stellar. And you could see based just how successful it was and how great the acting was and how much fun they had, just because it was basically them. Half of it was what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of off the tongue comedy.
Yeah.
They're not
like improv.
Improv. It was improv. Most of it was improv, and it's just if you look at in the bloopers, just them having fun, kind of reading the lines and being the characters. And once the show ended, you saw how many of the actors kind of split off and started doing their own thing. John Krasinski is now directing horror movies. And Steve Carell started the Despicable Me stuff and all that stuff, and that was good. And yeah, it was just it's so lovable. All the characters are great. It ends perfectly. It's so wholesome, and it's it's definitely an acquired taste if you don't like it, but I think it's very quotable, and who knows, maybe at the end of the day I won't like that pick, but I'm going with it.
You got to stick with your pick. You got to stick with your guts. I had to suck it up and stick it with fucking Major League last time.
Right.
So all right, I think this is pick 6, right? This is the 6th pick here. I don't know where I really want to go with this right now, but I think I'm gonna pull a Major League again. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm going Family Guy.
That is not a Major League pick.
That's a Major League
greatest animated television show of all time.
I am Peter Griffin. That's how I am literally a walking Peter Griffin at this point. Some of the shit that comes out of my mouth, I'm like, I literally have to stop myself and
Roadhouse.
say, what am I doing? I'm Peter.
You're Peter?
I am essentially the Family Guy.
Okay.
And I mean, to just talk about the show, I mean, you got Peter, you got Lois, you got Brian, Stewie, Chris, Meg, you got fucking Quagmire, Cleveland Joe, you got the guy walking on the peg leg.
Absolute ensemble.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and just the cutaways, the cutaways in that show make the show, and some of the shit that they're allowed to kind of walk on that fine line.
They teeter.
Yeah, they walk on that fine line, and some of the shit that they've said over the years has literally had me rolling around on my floor, like laughing. And I mean, obviously the newer shit is kind of a little bit more laid back in a sense, but like you watch
because of the time.
Seasons 1 through, I would say probably seasons 1 through 8 of Family Guy, and some of the shit that you will hear and some of the shit that you will see will have you crying laughing.
Yeah,
and I guess that's where I'll go with that.
So what I admire about Family Guy is you have Seth MacFarlane, who had this vision for what he wanted his show to be about, and he not only created all these iconic characters. I mean, Stewie, Brian, Peter, Lois, Chris, all these characters are so iconic to this day. That's why they're still going. That's why they're still making episodes. But he had the vision of the TV show. He voiced half of the characters in the show.
He does Peter, Brian, Stewie, Quagmire, right off the top of my head. That's four
the
in
major
family.
characters. Yeah. And then he gets Mila Kunis to come in and play Meg and all these different actors.
Seth Green plays Chris. Too.
Yeah, Patrick Warburton is obviously was a lot of
Peter.
episodes. Yeah, exactly. So I think you can close your eyes, pick one episode, and you're gonna love it. It has definitely some iconic episodes like the murder mystery in the mansion.
Oh yeah,
which is personally one of my favorites. If you're just looking for storylines, so they can either do this thing.
They do Star Wars. They've done 3 Star Wars episodes that are fucking hilarious. The first one, if you watch the first one, I swear to God, you will never look back. You will never look back.
Absolutely. So I think in terms of
why do they call them TIE fighters? Oh, I don't
know. Jesus Christ. But I think in terms of the versatility the show has, where they go off and they do their kind of own storylines, whether it's Star Wars, their own original thing, or if it's just like a laid back episode where there's this like tiny little beginning, middle, and end, and that's really it. they hit on every single episode, and I think it's just so the consistency that they have and the comedy that they use is so unique, and you don't really see it anywhere else. So
it's kind of
I agree with you.
That and I would say South Park too. You can kind of throw it, and even fucking I don't know. I'd say those two you can kind of walk that fine line and get away with it.
So is that all for Family Guy?
Yeah, I think that's all good for Mr. Griffin.
So I took The Office because in hopes of you not taking it next round and it still being there, but I was like, screw it, I'm going to do it. Hopefully he doesn't take my number one favorite TV show of all time, the Peaky fucking Blinders. Peaky Blinders, my favorite show of all time. I know I have a lot of love for Game of Thrones, and it's definitely up there, but Tommy Shelby, Arthur Shelby, Ada, just everybody, Michael. There's so many good characters. It is so, I think I've been gushing about nailing an aesthetic and nailing a time period and doing it swiftly and having it have character and have a great story, be historical relevant if you want to. And it hits on every single beat. You have different kind of, historical, gangster crime groups be the villain for every single season. So quotable. Cillian Murphy's Tommy Shelby is the best TV show character of the last 10 years. There, I said it. 6 great seasons. They knew when to stop. They knew when their momentum would run out. They did their 6 seasons. Each season is phenomenal, has historical relevance. It's just done so gracefully. The characters you fall so in love with. Everyone that watches it, they go out and they buy a scally cap. They talk in their Birmingham accents. It's the fans. If you just view the show through the following that it has and the fan base that follows it and how passionate they are, I fucking love the show to death. Yeah, it's my favorite show of all time.
It's a fucking great show.
It's not even close. I think that's I'm happy that it fell all the way.
Yeah, that's kind of a slip up.
I think letting Sopranos and Game of Thrones kind of get chosen and kind of hoping that my favorite show falls to the 4th round was worth it. Peaky Blinders, if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix, all 6 seasons with a movie coming out in a year and a half. It's brilliantly acted, brilliantly directed. You're going to fall in love with it the second you watch it, and I think I don't have enough good things to say about
you
it.
fucking just hit that out of the park.
I mean, whether it's a middle of the season episode or a season finale, the show is badass as all hell, and I think everyone's got to check it out, so...
I'm getting my ass kicked right now.
That's fine.
Game of Thrones, Sopranos, The Office, and Peaky Blinders.
3 more total
Entourage,
picks.
Seinfeld, and Family Guy. Everyone's going to think I'm a moron.
3 more total picks.
Oh, boy. All right. Where do we go from here? We got to do we try and sell? No, I got to save that one for last.
There's still a lot of great ones.
There's a lot of different ways you can go. I mean, I don't know. I know. But the problem is a lot of these mainstream shows that I tried to watch and I just couldn't get into them.
That's fine.
You go down.
There's a lot of hidden gems.
Yellowstone, Stranger Things.
Haven't watched Yellowstone.
Yeah. See, I
heard it's great. I'm pretty sure there's only 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, it's definitely one of the best out right now. That's why I wanted to include it, just in case you liked it or you saw it. But
yeah. All right. I think at this point, I think we can chalk this up as an L. So I'm just gonna go off the rails here for a little bit. I'm going F is for Family. I don't know if anybody knows about this show. It's on Netflix. It's this is Bill Burr's TV show that he came out with. He depicts I would say it's more of like a 1970s, 1980s family and how it was back then. This is literally just how I see my household, I guess.
I'll have to check it out.
I
fucking love Bill Burr.
Oh, I love it. And if you love Bill Burr, you will love this show. Yeah. The way they depict this kind of time period and how families were run and just kind of how other people interacted with other people, I think it's absolutely perfect. They hit it out of the park. I wanted them to do more seasons, but you get through the show pretty quick because of how funny these episodes are. So I think I'm just going to go F is for Family here. Safe pick. This is a show that I highly recommend to all my friends. Very, very, very funny.
Okay. I'll check it out. I mean, absolutely. I mean, if you're saying it's great, love Bill Burr, Boston guy.
Yep.
Hey, I love Bill Burr. That's a bad impression. Scratch that. Sorry about that. That was trash. So for my last pick, I'm going to go, it's between Stranger Things and Impractical Jokers.
Yeah, Impractical
Jokers. I have a lot of streaming shows on here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on cable. Impractical Jokers.
Yeah. Fucking
the gold standard for modern comedy. You have a lot of sketch comedy that we have on this list. You have Seinfeld. We mentioned How I Met Your Mother. The Office. Having a reality comedy show and to execute it this well, obviously it's holding up the cable station of True TV. It is its best show, and there's nothing else on it. So, I mean, without that, I don't think True TV would exist anymore. You got Sal, you got Joe, you got Q, and you have Murr.
Yeah.
And those, I mean, the four guys in them, obviously, they're kind of fizzling out just because you can't do a show like this when you're getting that big. But like some of the early seasons, piss your pants laughing.
Yeah.
And just it's so real, and they do the show so well. And just because it's four guys just dicking around in public, and it's like it's the more wholesome version of a prank show.
Yeah, it is essentially that.
And it's transcended. It's been out for the last 10 years, and it's still as popular as it was then. I think in terms of rewatchable shows, The Office is obviously up there. But whenever I'm kind of in a mundane mood and I need something to make me laugh,
you're just clicking through the TV at this point.
Oh, it is the number one.
Impractical Jokers.
If it's on cable and there's nothing on, it's 1:00 and in the afternoon on a weekday. There's no sports on. I don't want to watch Skip Bayless talk about Kevin Durant's TikTok post. I'm gonna go to True TV and see if this is playing on the channel, and it's just it's so phenomenal. If you haven't watched it, their sketches and their punishments. I know it's a little raunchy at times, but it's done so well, and it's so goddamn funny every single time I watch it. So just the consistency and the writing and the things that they tell each other to do. It's
magical. It's honestly magical.
So I could have put Guys Grocery Games. It's a show I like very much. It's something that I look out for a lot as well, just because I felt like I needed one cable pick. But everyone loves it. If you don't like Impractical Jokers, you're not fucking human.
Yeah,
plain
go
and simple.
outside.
So that's my last pick. That's my list. Done so. Thank you.
I literally just got smoked. I knew it was going to happen, too. I came into this with no confidence. I was like, he's going to take all the good shows, and I'm going to
put on a clinic.
I'm going to sit here and look like an idiot when I take fucking Family Guy and fucking F is for Family.
Hey, Family Guy and Entourage. And Seinfeld.
Yeah, I got to one.
If you find the right audience, they'll think you won.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. With TV shows today, I feel like everyone's just so mainstream, and everyone just wants to do what everybody else is doing. It doesn't want to branch out.
Right.
So chalk this one up as an L. For my last pick, I'll just go with a show that I'm excited for to come out. The next season's coming out, I believe, in August. Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso.
Fucking love Ted Lasso.
This is essentially a soccer version. Look, I said it earlier, I'm going to pull a Major League. This is literally like a soccer Major League show.
Yep.
You got Ted Lasso, who's a college football coach, has no clue what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah.
You got an owner who hates her husband, wants to drive the team into the ground. And then, I mean, some of the characters that play on the team, like you got, what's his name? It's not clicking.
Roy Kent?
Roy Kent. Feed me Roy Kent all day. I mean, him going to the fucking kindergarten classes, taking his kid. Him just saying
Danny Rojas.
Yeah, Danny Rojas. Who's the black dude who tried to bang?
Izzy.
Izzy, yeah. See, I haven't watched it in a while, so that
Jamie Tart.
Yeah, Jamie.
No, it's Samu Basanya. And then you have the Diamond Dogs.
Yeah,
you got Coach Beard. You got Lasso.
Okay, yeah, Coach Beard.
You got Higgins. You got Nathan. You got Miss Keeley.
I think we forgot about Nathan in the last season, just kind of turning his back.
Oh yeah,
he's coaching a different team.
Spoilers. But it's a great show. What I have down here for Ted Lasso, it's just endless good vibes.
Yeah.
The characters are very unique. They're very lovable.
It's very Midwest. He definitely gives you like that Midwestern kind of comedy.
Absolutely. And like when you start, you're like, okay, Jason Sudeikis obviously doesn't sound like this. I know what he sounds like. It doesn't sound like this, but you get used to it. Ted Lasso is just so positive. It's a show. It's a feel-good show.
Yeah, it's got a lot of different elements to it.
And for Apple TV to roll it out and kind of for it to be its original, for it to be its starter basically.
Yeah.
And to do it this well, I love it. I love the show to death. Obviously, the second season, I don't really like that much.
It's weird. It started off.
It has some
slow.
Weird episodes that
Yeah.
don't really make any sense. Like there's this one episode where Coach Beard goes on a psychedelic trip. And meets that girl at the bar. I don't know. It's very weird, but it's
Coach
very
Beard's
lovable.
He's got a mind of his own.
He has a mind of his
in a
own.
different place.
So if you haven't watched Ted Lasso, I think it's worth getting a 1 month subscription to Apple TV as is.
Yeah.
It's a must watch, absolutely. Which it absolutely could have fit into my list. It probably should have, but just based off there only being 2 seasons, But I love it.
But season 3 coming out pretty soon, I believe. So
absolutely.
And I mean, all the the pop culture references they drop in that movie too is just hilarious.
For sure. So is that it for your list?
That's it.
Okay. Well, some honorable mentions are Trailer Park, South Park, obviously, Jersey Shore even made on the list, The Simpsons, and then we put Kenobi in Mandalorian for your.
Kenobi was okay.
It was okay, but Mandalorian is great. So that'll wrap up our list. I have a review for Nope on here, but I think we're cutting time short a little bit, so I'll do that on Thursday.
Yep.
If you haven't seen it, it's a new Jordan Peele movie that came out. But that will wrap up episode 32 of the Fairweather Fans Podcast. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back on Friday for episode 33. I think that'll wrap it up.
Taylor Hall's a Boston Bruin.
That he is.